Welcome back to This Is Acsom. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this week I'm delighted to be joined by Tommy Sheridan and Asim Rabbani, where we'll be talking to ex-Cel David ELLIOT. This is Acsom, David, from Barfield to the Barrowlands. What's your memories of Barfield?
Oh, God's sake, I mean, going back years now, nice grass pitch with a big ash pitch before it, dressing rooms 40 bits, cold showers after training, running for Celtic Park front door along to Barfield because you never had a motor because you were only 17 or 18. Or the first team guys would take you to training and bring you back sometimes, but more so a wee walk along or a wee run along to Barfield training. Boys club football there, absolutely cracking. I mean, it was cracking. Scored hundreds of goals there, Paul John. Scored loads of goals there. And a good strike force and a good boys club that included Dougal McCarrison and Jerry Craney up top with me. So, changed days now. I've been there a few times, been back a few times. Down the back, they've got the AstroTurf. I mean, down the back before was, you were scared to get down there in case you didn't come back. I mean, the ball went down that slope of the hill and then you'd send one of the parents to go and get it because the boys couldn't get it. Dangerous place, but the pitch was brilliant, the big grass pitch. It was cracking. Good times, good memories. Wee Andy McCann, the groundsman, wee Andy, who went on to taking legendary status, God rest him, at Celtic Park, and Big Hazy, who took over from him. But wee Andy he'd help with the goals, getting ready for the games, and just crack a joke or two. Some of them kind of inappropriate for young boys at under 16, but that was Andy. It was great fun. It was good memories.
The thing with the Barfield is it's just part of folklore now. You know, that's where the Lisbon Lions trained, and that's where obviously they honed their skills and their tactics and everything else. But there came a point, I think, Tommy, and we spoke about this as well, where you need to move on for there. But I am chuffed that they've kept the site and they're going to use that for the future development of the youngsters and the women's team as well.
Definitely. I wanted to jab in with David because I've listened to some of your stories in the past, David, and what struck me was how important your old man was to your whole career, because I was smiling at the story about being able to get into school. And the first year at Holyrood at the time, I went to Lourdes, which was the second biggest Catholic school in Glasgow, but Holyrood was always the biggest. And we always had a lot of rivalry with the football team, so Holyrood had a good team. Yeah. But you never got in the first year, and then I think you never got in the second year, but your dad told you just
in previous podcast with Acsom, that's what we had the chat about, wasn't it? My dad was even at primary school, part of the primary school was playing for St Dominic's as well, and I said, Dad, I'm not at St Dominic's, that guy played for you kid. Because he knew
so you had to play for a primary, didn't you?
Exactly, allegedly, mate, allegedly. And he pushed me, and even the boys club. I went up for a trial for Celtic Boys Club, and before I joined the boys club at under 14 level, I went up for a trial at the boys club at under 12 level, and I was up with my dad. My dad saw people playing and loads of people standing, loads of boys standing, kitted out in their Celtic Boys Club blazers. Too many boys here. Too many boys here. Let's take you somewhere else. Mm-hmm. You can get into Celtic Boys Club anytime. I went to a team called Garngad United up at Royston Road. So,
what would that be about, Dave?
So that was under 12.
Right.
It's under 12. So you're talking just in first year at school, 12 or 13. 12 or 13.
There's a key lesson in that as well. Like, I've got nephews around that age, 11, 12, and they often get told, I don't know if you're going to make it or if you're good enough, but I think the lesson that you learn from your kind of story is you just have to keep trying. You know what I mean? Don't listen.
No, absolutely. And I've been doing now grassroots and pro youth football for 12, 15 years, and that is always a message. Sometimes parents of children are their worst enemies at the end of the day, but don't give up. 12 or 13, somebody's telling you you're not quite good enough. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It just means at this moment in time you're better going somewhere else, because there's nothing worse in a team where you're maybe only getting 15 minutes of football. You want to play 90 minutes of football every Saturday. So go somewhere that you can get game time, because that's what will make you better, essentially. It's not playing 15 minutes with a brilliant team. You're better playing 90 minutes with an average or lesser team getting games in. You enjoy it more that way.
Yeah, 100%.
And physically, Davey, some boys at 12 and 13, they take a hell of a stretch at 16 or 17, but they've not yet taken a stretch into. That's why it's so wrong, isn't it, to write somebody off at that age.
You can't do that.
You've got late developers all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's true or not, maybe it's because it was the creme de la creme. But when I was growing up, Pollock United was my team. My old man ran the team, which is how I got a game, obviously. But we used to, when we played Celtic Boys Club, the thing that used to come across was they were always bigger, they were always stronger. I mean, they just looked a cut above, and we always thought ourselves, they're not supposed to be under 14. We think they're 16 and all that. But it was just the picture of all the young boys.
And it's still out. It's still out there. It's still out there. The bigger, stronger boys of that age group do better. You know?
See, when your old fella saying to you about the boys' club will take you somewhere else, it's quite bold, especially when you consider that there's plenty of parents just want you to sign for a club affiliated to Celtic of any description, Daily. So if we go back to growing up, a Celtic fan going to the games with your old fella and your granddad, what's your team? Who are you watching?
Peter Latchford in goals, Tam McAdam centre half with Big Roddy McDonald, who's another ex-Polis.
Is he retired now?
Aye, he's retired now, but he was an athlete right up until the end. I mean, he was an athlete in the police right up until the end. He was a picture of health, a picture of fitness, Big Roddy. But I remember guys like Dom Sullivan. I remember wee Bobby playing just near the end of his time there. But Davy Proven, I mean, what a winger he was. And we moved on to being coached by Davy Proven and Jingy Johnston as me as a winger. What more could I have? Do you know what more could I have wanted? Do you know, it was a brilliant team. I loved going to watch it. I just walked. We always parked in the Springfield Road flats, wandered up. My dad jumped in the bookies for 5 or 10 minutes, left you standing outside, no hassle, wandered up to the game, stood in the old Rangers end, as we're calling it, with the same group of people and watched the football and loved the football. At the time where Celtic were, they were a brilliant team, but there was all good teams, Dundee United, Aberdeen as well, and no game was a given, especially against these guys.
Yeah, I mean, to live the dream, to be the fan that goes for the terrace and in the park. I love that story. But also going back to the youth development side, I think it's important for us to continue to rear the young guys, because when you look at that dressing room, David, that's your hub. The heartbeat is the guys that know what it means to the fans, isn't it?
Do you know, a happy dressing room makes a good team. Do you know, everybody mucking in together, everybody working together, everybody working hard for each other. That's what makes your team. But it's just having that love for the club, having that want to want. This is what I want. This is my dream. I want to be there. And I was 19. Do you know, I was a kid when I made my debut at Celtic Park. I was 19 years old, and looking back now, I think at the time you just take it in your stride. It's your job, it's your work. You've been playing football since you were 13. This is just another wee stepping stone in what you do. You push into the reserves, you push into the first team. Here we go. Let's get it done. You don't think, oh my God, what an achievement this is, but it's not until you're looking back. And I just wish, and I say that where one of the boys has just left my team at Partick Thistle to go elsewhere, and that's what I say, him, just enjoy it, just work hard. And the social media these days with the photographs, and they must have loads of these photographs. And going back before me, but I had newspaper clippings that some of them I don't know where some of them are.
What's a newspaper?
Exactly. Newspaper clippings. Somebody would give you the odd photograph. But now, social media is great. It can be great, especially for just putting your. Imagine having that bank of photographs of me or you playing for Celtic. Do you know?
Mind I sent you a picture one night, and it was. You're outside Easter Road, going in all suited up. You're like, where did you get that?
There's still people put it out there on social media, pictures, and you go, I've never seen this before. That's me. I've never seen this before. And they just, some people do have that. They're lucky enough to be able to have that state of mind where they just collect things. They'll keep it here. They'll keep it neat. I mean, I may have kept some stuff at some time, but you take the page of the paper, you fling it in there, and you go, where'd I put it?
What's that?
You mentioned the kind of positive side of social media there, obviously, like having that bank of pictures and memories. But obviously there's a negative that we spoke about as well. Are you kind of grateful that you played at a time where there wasn't that intense scrutiny after every match, before every match, that the players nowadays have?
Do you know, they have to put up with a hell of a lot of things. It's not just football. We used to just go and get our training done and get our football done and out the road. Do you know? And let's be honest, there are some players out there that don't get involved too much in social media.
James Forrest.
They don't get too much involved. They just let the football do the talk. There's others that will take it to the extreme. And I suppose in every walk of life, if you want to use social media to do that kind of stuff, then I suppose you need to be there to take the stick as well. But like you say, some of the stick can go too far, it gets too personal, we bring in families and that and show. So social media can be great. It is a great tool.
A wee bit of consistency for last week when we were speaking to Joe, and you gave the same type of experience, which is just brilliant to hear it. Is wee Jinky being involved with you and coaching you? I think you tell the story about him wearing the plastic bag back into the
and wee Bobby was the same. They'd cut up the black bin bag and wear it under themselves.
To lose some. I'm old enough to remember when that was encouraged because it soaks up the sweat and all that, and it helps you lose weight.
So it does. You could hear it. I mean, you didn't know what was going on at first. I didn't know anything about it, but you could hear this rustling this bin bag, and then it was
But his enthusiasm, it's just incredible.
But his fitness as well, do you know? And he just loved to play football. I mean, there was none of this standing coaching at the side with me Jinky. So his coaching was getting involved and showing you how to do it.
Brilliant.
You know.
You mentioned David Provan, Bobby Lennox. Was Bobby Murdoch around the club as well? Jimmy Johnson. How important is that to have the old heads in at Celtic Park, do you think?
Absolutely brilliant. You can't buy that. I mean, you can't pay any amount of money to get these guys in and coach young kids. And Jinky, Provo, Bobby, all in there doing their bit, and great advice. I mean, imagine my dad coming along and watching me, and you've got Jinky and Bobby. You know, David Provo was a guy I watched playing. He's a cracking player, and he was a brilliant player. Used to wear his socks at his ankles and all that.
I blame David Provan for the 1980 riot at Hamden, because I wanted to give him my scarf.
So the first one,
I remember getting onto the gravel, climbing the fence, and all you heard was, because we were all young, we were like 15, 16, and all you heard was, the Huns are coming. So as we were trying to go back, all the older Marines behind us were all coming on, because if you're looking at the telly, you'll see it goes like that, and it goes like that, because all the older Marines were...
I was at that game as well. I was on the pitch, sorry, but I do remember standing, we stood right at the front, because I was only a wee guy, so 1980, I was 11 years old, so I was right down at the front, and people piling on that. I remember you jumping to the top of my head, Tom. People piling on the top of you, and I remember my dad coming down and just grabbing me, just at the back, out the road, up you go, out the road.
What I loved as well, and we spoke about it before, David, and it's all the wee things you learn about Celtic as you speak to people who were there. I spoke to David Provan. He says, see when I scored that goal, that historic free kick at Hamden, look at my boot. It's taped together because Neely Mockin wouldn't give me a new pair of boots for the cup final. So you've got Barfield, you've got the boot situation, but we still had success. Yeah. How great was Neely?
I mean, try to get a pair, like Provo says, try to get a pair of boots off Neely. I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing, he knew exactly what kind of boots he was giving you, and he knew exactly what you were going to say when he gave you those pair of boots. You know, he'd give you a pair of Adidas Copas, you know, I still wear Copas. Copas are still the best. I'm not one of these. I still wear Copas. And give you a pair of Copas, knowing that you're not going to refuse Copa, no matter for a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9 or a 10. Try them on, son. Are they alright? No, they look a bit tight, Nearly, they're alright. No, they're a bit loose, I'll need to get you another pair of these other ones. No, they're fine, Nearly. Knowing that he's giving you the right size, and just brilliant.
Where do we strike the balance? Because on the one hand, it's great to have all the facilities and the science, Tommy. But on the other hand, there's something to be said about keeping players grounded, the young guys, and making sure that every single step of the way they're appreciating what it is that they're playing for and represent.
Paul, John, I think it's a very, very difficult equation to work with, because Davey's talking about how he felt going into Parkhead with guys that he's watched, guys that he's loved.
Yep.
And you're getting in with a team that you've supported and it's been part of your life. We now have guys who come who don't have a clue who Celtic are, and they don't, I think, really respect what they've got. I don't think they appreciate it. And I remember speaking to Neil and about the 2020 season when he was telling me that he really wanted to grab some of the players by the scruff of the neck. But you're not allowed to do that anymore. You'll know this for the coaching experience. That there were things that used to get done in football that aren't allowed any longer. You need to be much more PC, so to speak. And I'm not so sure that it always works. And I do feel sometimes when you watch some of the players, you say to yourself, mate, do you realise how lucky you are to be where you are? Because you're not showing it on the park. I sometimes hear people say, he's giving you a lot of effort. See, pick anybody out the crowd on a Saturday. They'll give you hundreds of effort. They'll give you all the effort you've got.
That's the minimum.
Exactly.
Nobody pays to come and see a Celtic player working hard. Nobody comes at a youth level or a grassroots level to watch their boy working hard. That's not what they come to do. They working hard just a given. That's what you do.
But what you mentioned, Paul John, as well, would you say that also applies to even just the youngsters coming through rather than just incomings that we brought maybe from abroad? Even the youngsters coming through maybe don't fully realise or appreciate the opportunity they've got at Celtic. You know?
I think times have changed, not just in football but in society, and I'm not saying that grabbing people around the neck and flinging people about is the right way. It's probably not. But there's words and phrases you can't even use anymore. Do you know, there's even language you can't use anymore, and people take offence. You just need to be really careful and do its best. Do its best. We're all different, so you can't treat boy one or girl two, or girl one different for boy one, boy two, and girl two. You know what I mean? Everybody's different.
Yeah.
I know what it was like when I played. I maybe needed a wee hug and told I was good. Well, other people needed more than that. They needed a bit of a backside. Sure. They needed a finger pointing right in their face. And I've seen managers doing that loads of times. But that's what good managers do. They know. I mean, Lambie was perfect for it. Lambie was absolutely perfect for it. He knew everybody inside out because he'd get to know people. Yeah. It was just a man. What describes an old style man management. He knew everybody individually, and he would treat them as an individual and get what's best for the individual, which means he was getting what's best for the team. He was your man for it. He was perfect for it.
See, when you look at some of the managers you played under, from Billy McNeill, David Hay, John Lambie, Jimmy Bowen.
Yeah.
Who suited you the best? Would you say it was John Lambie?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm not saying he was better than any of them. Mm-hmm. Do you know? And because the majority, I'm going to go 80-90% of my managers I got on me. And Duff was another one. Duff was my manager at Hibs. Same at Hibs, which was good. Do you know? And I probably found that Duff was a good mate of mine at Thistle, and I maybe found it difficult going to that. Him become my manager. Maybe he found that difficult as well. I don't know. We've never really discussed it, and there's no point discussing it anymore. But Duff was another one. He was another good man manager. He knew what he wanted out of people. But John Lambie to me was he would sign up. So I mean, Chick's your prime example. Chick was just Chick just wanted to play football his way. But there was other guys in that team as well. They were just mental. But he could handle it. And the habit of signing, I'll just sign. I don't care. I'll just sign mental people because I'll deal with them. Yeah. And he did. And he listen, who could complain about John's record, especially at Thistle?
If we go back to your chat there about playing for the Gamgad, obviously we were in that area not too long ago. It was tremendous to see yourself lining up with Tommy Sheridan and various other ex-Celts and other guys who always wanted to play for Celtic, like your old chum Chick Charnley. Mm-hmm. Now, I think about players like that, David, right? You've probably played with guys like this yourself, Tommy, and you think that at a certain stage they could take it to another level. They've got the talent to take it to another level, and they've done really well. But you know the level he was playing at, David, is that due to maybe his own choices? Because he got a bit of reputation, didn't he, during his career?
He may be better asking Jack that, but firstly, there's no doubt he was a tremendous talent. He was brilliant, left foot, right foot. Wasn't he blessed with the best pace in the world? But there's a lot of people don't realise how fit he actually was, and people can talk about his lifestyle or the way he had his career, but he was a fit guy. He was really, really fit, and his enthusiasm just shone through. His enthusiasm, it's just an enjoyment. And I remember, and Duff signed him for. So I was at Thistle with Chick. I was at St Mirren with Chick as well, and I was at Hibs with Chick as well.
In fact, you've got quite a few stories that you can't tell. I'm going to grave with you. Because you just travelled together, didn't you? You had to pick him up.
Aye, because he couldn't drive, or he wasn't allowed to drive, or for whatever reason. And I used to pick him up on a Monday. I could tell a few. And he'd probably gladly tell the few anyway. But I used to travel with Chick and Big Barry Lavetti, who
Big Barry.
Imagine there's stories there as well with Big Barry, who was another cracking guy. And first and foremost, the two of them were brilliant guys, as well as
talented. Two left
as well as been good.
In fact, that's the three left footers.
Well, Big Barry wasn't he? Big Barry. I'm not too sure Barry knew what foot he quite could, but I'm not calling Barry a lefty. You need to be unique. You need to be a wee bit more talented to be a lefty than that, Tommy. Great crack first and foremost. Good guy.
I'm glad you've made his fitness, but Dave, because a lot of people, okay, didn't have pace. I remember playing against Chick when he was with Rob Roy, with juniors, and he was up and down the park in midfield, and his professional career's over, but he was still as fit as hell. And he did lack pace, but mentally he was a move ahead, wasn't he, on the park?
Well, he didn't need that electric pace, just because his talent and the way he used to fade to go that way and sell people a dirty and go their way. His passing range was brilliant. When he hit the ball, wouldn't he get anywhere near it with his seat. But he didn't reseed because he'd left a good left, good right foot. Brilliant player, brilliant guy to have about, just full of fun, full of enjoyment. Like we were talking about before, that whole dressing room thing at Thistle was cracking as well. We Chick and Gordon Ray, Jerry Collins, God rest him, was in there as well. Wee Lambie, Duff. It was cracking players. Wee McGlashan, John Flood. I mean, I could go through that team as well. I was only there a season. But brilliant team. Great fan support, great home support, great away support. Still the same, by the way, because I just wish they'd been able to push up with the Premier League over the last couple of seasons. They were kind of nearly there both times. I was at Firhill, I was at Airdrie for the playoff games. What a great fan base they have.
They're a Premier League team, aren't they?
Great fan base as well, and good. Listen, good players, good team. Knock the ball about, play football the way you'd want it to be played. And it's a shame they never made it up. But guys like Chick in that day, then Chick was good player, good mate. Do you know? And if there's one guy in football I'd talk about, it would be Chick.
I was too young to remember too much of seeing Chick, but the main memory was obviously that Easter Road Henrik's debut. That's what I remember. My first memory of Chick. What a left foot, what a strike.
And another Celtic fan to the core, but
he celebrated that day though, didn't he?
Loved it, and that's professional football for you. That's professional.
It's a brilliant goal.
But one thing about you, David, which I love, is your attitude, because I feel as though, if only, because I've listened to some of your stories, and I mean, how much do you curse there only been 2 subs? you played in the games leading up to that night, that cup final, to stop them getting the treble. You've done well. You've got a goal disallowed in one of the games. You're feeling great, but there's only 2 subs. And Tommy Burns has been getting nursed back for injury, so you're saying to yourself, he's going to make a spot for him. But for that rule, you'd have been actually in that squad.
I'd have been on the bench. I was in the squad. But
what I mean is, you'd have been stripped.
I'd have been stripped and ready to go. Aye.
You're still in the team group. I mean, after the game, everybody's celebrating. You're in there with Andy, Lex Bailey maybe?
Yeah, but
in the suits.
Andy was in the suits with the shades.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I was up Pittodrie. We'd gone from Pittodrie to the hospital to see about Andy's eye. He was told, no, he's not waiting, need a couple of weeks. Big Lexi, Big Ian Andrews was the suit on as well. And obviously Tommy was like you say, been nursed back and hadn't played Ross Cup, but he knew Tommy was playing, so there was always got to be that place in the bench, and there was Fulton and Starkey, and that was Fulton and Starkey that made the bench.
Did Starkey not get injured in one of the games beforehand as well? Because I think did you not come on in a game for Starkey?
That was my debut.
Right.
Like I say, that was in January. That was in January. Starkey.
You're hoping he injured again.
I
don't want to see that. You don't want to.
In fact, only I thought I could have given him a boot myself. But no, like you say, the photographs there for me to see and to look at, and I was listening. There's better than me over the years that have they made a bench for Celtic. So
I love it. You talk about Billy maybe letting you go, or you deciding the next pre-season that I'm going to go and try and get more regular football. But you'd no regret. See, I just loved your attitude, David. Just that you were you loved Big Billy, and you thought he was. I think he hugged you after you come back for signing for Thistle, didn't it?
It was tough. Don't get me wrong. It was tough leaving, because you weren't just leaving a football club. I was leaving a football club that I loved, but I was also leaving my pals. You know, because there was a few at the boys' club that had been with since 14 years old, with Fultway, Big Jerry Bratton, Jerry Craney, Dougal. Raymond McStay. They were all there, and it was leaving your mates.
Right.
You know, it was, and even the first team group, they were very close with the reserve boys as well, because they especially Big Anton. Big Anton just loved the wee Joe. They loved the banter in the reserve. We seem to get away with a lot more than the first team, because I think Big Billy always stood to the boot and then go in the first team dressing room, and like I was saying before, Big Billy come in, you knew you need to stand to attention there. But he didn't come in the reserve, so I think we could get away with a wee bit more tying socks and knots and rattling them off every day walked in the door, just amateur boy stuff. And Big Anton used to, he and me Joe used to love all that banter. He used to love coming in and getting involved in the nonsense.
So, see, when you look at the group of players that you came through with, David, and you've mentioned some of the names there that I'm aware of, having read the Celtic View every week and looked at the reserve players coming through, Dougie McHarrison, Jerry Britton, Jerry Craney, Stevie Fulton. What is it that separates the successes for the guys that fall by the wayside in terms of Celtic? Because they all went on and had careers. Is it luck? Is it application? What do you think it is?
From one of your goals disallowed.
Yeah,
first game.
Absolutely. Aye.
Doesn't help.
Could have changed it.
Doesn't help, Paul John, you know what I mean?
How much do you wish Bar was back in play
I
then?
still don't understand the reasons for that goal being disallowed.
Listen, I'm not talking about it. The tears will be running down my face by the end of it. It's probably a bit of luck, added to a bit of self-confidence, a bit of self-belief, added to hard work.
Mm-hmm.
You could go on and on probably. I mean, luck's a part of it. Luck's a part.
It's got to be.
Right place, right time. Does that shot go in? Does that shot go a yard by the post? Does the keeper pull off a brilliant save that could have lifted your confidence? That could have had other people looking at you. They could have, there's so many different equations to that. To pinpoint that, I'd be a wizard if I could. But what will be will be. Even young boys, you're going to find your level if you're good enough. And somebody's telling you at 12 or 13, just if you believe you're good enough, keep working. You'll find your way. You'll find your level. You just need to keep working hard. Don't have your confidence knocked. It's the easiest thing in the world for me to say, or you to say. Confidence is huge, and it doesn't matter if it's football or Celtic or tennis or golf or whatever it is. You name a sport, you could go through. It's all about confidence, and if you're firing on cylinders with your confidence, then you can go places. A wee bit of swagger about you. You see all these top athletes out there. There's a level of arrogance with them all, but that's just that. I mean, you look at Ronaldo. That's just pure self-belief. He plays that game with his heart and his soul and every bit of emotion that gets put out on that pitch. You saw many minutes he spent the other night. He was in bits, but he's the character just to come back for it and go, you know what, I'm not going to do another one. You know, this time I'll just do what I'll do. I'll just put it in the bottom corner and I'll deal with the rest later.
See, when you're dealing with coaching kids, David, do you appreciate that there's been people in your football career that's made a huge positive impact on you? So when you're imparting your advice and your guidance on them, are you thinking about some of the good experiences you've had?
Some of the good experiences and some of the good people you see as well, you don't need to know them, you can just see guys out in the pitch. Scott Brown and Callum McGregor are two that just come to my head straight away. Do you know, just guys that I've met Scott in my coaching badges and I'm speaking brilliant, lovely, pleasant guy. I've never met Callum McGregor, but you look at Callum McGregor and you look at Scott Brown and they're just, the way they play football, you say to young boys, just play the game that way. Mm-hmm. Play the game that way with your drive and determination, and you don't want to leave anything out there. What you put out the other day, don't leave it and come back in and say, I've done my best. I saw MD Canas, we were talking about before, nobody comes to see you working hard. They come to see you scoring goals, creating goals and playing with a smile on your face, having fun. And it's the same with kids at a youth level. Your parents don't come to see you working hard, they come to see you scoring good goals, clearing off the goal line, saving things, crossing for goals, scoring goals, everybody hugging in, everybody getting high fives. That's what they come to see. So just enjoy your football and look at these role models, you want to call them. If you're a Rangers fan or a Celtic fan and vice versa, and you want to look at somebody on a different team, good, go for it. And if it comes to be that you want to look at a guy in your own team, then fair enough, but make sure he's a good one.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned something there about Paul John that I'd like to hear your take on it, Davey, and that is reserve team football. I mean, I was brought up when, you know, the reserves was a thing, and it was always quite exciting because you would season ticket holders that one they gone to Pittodrie or one they gone to Tannadice, one gone to Parkhead to watch the reserves, and you would always pick up, oh, such and such is coming through the reserve, oh, you ought to see this guy in the reserves. How big a loss has that been to Scottish football, David?
I'd probably say huge, because I know how huge it was for me when I played. And not just the guys you played with, and Tommy Burns would want to play any game it was going. We'd a couple of reserve teams at Celtic with reserves. We'd also Reserve League West, which was a kind of younger group of players. And Tommy would just want to, just any game it was going, he'd won a game. It was like a kickabout down the park there. I mean, he said, there's a game, I'll play. If come back finish, I'll play. And just, he'd talk you through games and you'd listen. You had to listen because he was Tom Burns. And you'd learn from guys like this. Mick McCarthy playing the reserves. I remember him playing the reserves and just giving me dog's abuse one game. And just, I wouldn't like to say bravery to talk back. I'll probably call it stupidity. I will call it stupidity to talk back. Oh, he went through me. But he was just trying to lift me up. He was just trying to give me a G on.
But what was it? Because you weren't, did he not think you were working hard enough?
He didn't think. He said to me after, I thought you looked tired.
Right, okay.
I was tired. But we shouldn't be tired. Just you know, an extra bit. But I remember just losing it, going, oh, man, don't you? And just, but the experiences of that made you better.
And why is it gone, David? I mean, I can't remember. One of our guests said it was something to do. I think it was Jackie said it's cost. Is that what it is? Is it
money?
But we've yet to hear anyone say that it's not a loss. You know, there's not been one positive out of.
But you think of the money, for instance, every club's had to invest in VAR, right? And it's not improved their game one iota. Imagine you were investing instead in reserve team football. I think it would improve.
I mean, that one example. That's an Irish international you're playing alongside who signed for Celtic for £500,000. He played for Man City. You're going to learn playing alongside guys like that.
Absolutely. He was centre half and I was left back that day. So you're only going to learn. Mm-hmm. But it's not just guys like that, it's guys you're playing against as well. Mm-hmm. Joe, Derek, I remember Derek Ferguson, the Rangers. Derek, what a player Derek was. And I remember playing against him one day in the reserve game. It's guys, I remember playing against top Aberdeen players that would come back, Dundee United players, Hibs players would come back, Hearts players that were coming back, and it lifted your game. look who's playing, because you always get your team line before the game. Look who I'm playing against. This was John Robertson playing for Hearts Reserve today because he's coming back from injury. I'm left back against him. Brilliant. I'm going to up my game. Yeah, I'll knee up my game. So it wasn't just the guys in your team. It was the guys you were playing against. You knew who they were. You knew of them. So you'd raise your game, and you weren't raising your game for them playing down at Tory Glen, or you weren't playing at a junior ground, or you were playing at their stadium. You were playing at Easter Road. You were playing at Tynecastle. You were playing at Pittodrie. You were playing at Celtic Park every couple of weeks. That's where you were playing them.
Much missed.
I think a Celtic state of mind needs to do a campaign. Bring back reserve team football.
I remember reading it was a 5-figure sum, Tommy, that every club had to ring fence for the reserve team, and a lot of the clubs
just didn't
want to, budget for it. There's even a suggestion that perhaps Celtic and Rangers, Dundee United, Hibs and Hearts could pay for the league to make sure they've got the competitive edge. But even that, David, it also means you're ready for the step up, because when you then read in a newspaper on a Thursday night that you're in the squad, because that's how you found out about your first team debut, wasn't it?
It was my brother. He was never in time. My mum and dad told him to be back for a certain time, but he never made it in time. So I think my brother Gary, he got a late night bus up the road. I think he was probably to be up the road for 10 o'clock, but didn't quite make 10 o'clock. It was more 11 o'clock. But he brought in the late night paper, and here it was in the Thursday night paper that I was included in the first team squad in the Friday. Now, don't get me wrong, I remember being involved in the training that day, but no really generally thinking too much about it, because the way everybody trained today was if the first team were short, they'd just drag somebody in, even the numbers up, or do the exercise that they do. So I never really thought much of it until my brother came in with the late night daily record on the Thursday night, and the Friday went in and right enough trained with the first team. Saturday, I didn't know on the Friday what was going on, but I was told to be there on the Saturday, and then the Saturday was there, and I was on the bench, and that was more than enough for me. And then, as luck would have it, poor Starkey, but he came back for it anyway, so did 20 minutes, and I was on. There was no...
This was against Hamilton?
This was against Hamilton Ackies, aye. And against Ruffy. Against Ruffy in the goal. Aye. Was my debut at Celtic Park.
How do you think you played?
I can't remember playing badly. I think I did really well. I think I did really well. And that was just before the trip to Japan that I was discussing a while ago, where we went over with Celtic youth team to a tournament and get invited to Japan. And that was just before we went to Japan in January. This was early January where I made my first team debut. And there was the choice of going to Japan with the under-18 team or staying here with Celtic. My choice was staying here with Celtic. Tommy Burns had a word with me at that point as well. What you think? I said, I'm not thinking about anything. Are you going to Japan or staying? I said, I want to stay here. I said, but it might not be my choice. And he says, make sure you stay here. And I did want to stay. But I went to Japan.
Right.
The week after my debut. I went over there for 10 days. No, get me wrong, it was a great time. It was a brilliant time. What would I rather been doing?
So, but why then, David? What made you, or did somebody just tell you were going? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And within Celtic at the time?
Yeah. Whatever decision, whether it was wee Bobby or Big Billy decided that no, you're part of this squad. We need you as part of the squad over there. And I always remember wee Bobby saying to the Japanese, they were athletes. No, they were just starting off in football at that time. They weren't big guns in the international scene at all. But they could run. They were fit. They were solid, and they could run. And I always remember, I'm saying my first game, thank God they brought UACC right wingers are absolute flying machines. So I still enjoyed over there, but
maybe it came at the right time because you're momentum.
There's your luck again. There's a wee.
You've just made your debut. You've done well, and then 10 days. Yeah, that's a long time, relatively speaking, isn't it?
So there's your wee touch of luck, or your wee touch of whatever it is. That's just situation that takes you elsewhere.
Definitely.
And then when you made your first start at Celtic Park, is it kind of mixed memories or mixed emotions for that one?
Oh, no mixed emotions at all. Listen, genuinely no mixed emotions. That was just huge. and I get the goal disallowed that I don't bring up very much, but my right foot as well. I mean,
that's why they disallowed it. Can't be a real goal. He scored with you, right?
But no, that was an amazing day.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing day. Wee Joe scored. We won 1-0. The amazing John Collins playing for Hibs. Pat McGinley made his debut for Hibs. And the next week away to St Mirren at Love Street.
Another 1-0.
An infamous new signing that we made. And then the week after, or during the week, down to Seamill. We tripped down to Seamill. And the cup final, where it was only 2 subs.
See the thing then, let's go back to that few weeks, because that, looking back now, all these years later, David, sliding doors moments in many, many ways. You must have thought there's a good chance after your performance, obviously leading up to the game against St Mirren, then you get picked for St Mirren, one more game and it's the cup final. In that, I'm going to come back to the guy sitting in the stand, pretending that he was going to sign for Celtic in a minute. Seems like we're talking an awful lot about him. But when you are in that scenario, what players is it that comes to you, senior players, to try and settle you down? Because I've heard stories about Tommy Burns doing it on a team coach, deliberately going and sitting next to either a new signing or the young player and just talking them through it and trying to prepare them. Is he the one? Was there a few seniors that would do that with you?
I think every one of them in their own different way could make you feel comfortable. Tommy in his way that he'd speak to you and calm you down and chat to you about Celtic and his love for Celtic. Big Whitey was another one, but Big Whitey would Big Derek was a bit of a joker, and he'd always have a laugh, and he'd like a laugh and cracking jokes, and that settled you in its own different way, and that made you feel part of it. You don't need somebody to come and tell you, oh, it's great you're here and I want you to be here. That sometimes that's enough. Just sometimes a wee bit of fun and including you in the banter was enough. Big Anton and Wee Joe and Chrissy Morris, Big Mick who was big intense guy. But everybody in a different way, I suppose, made you feel part of that team. I remember Big Whitey. It's not as if I'd started the game against Hibs. I'd started the game against St Mirren, and the next game was there was a cup final against Rangers. It's not as if I was poor against Hibs and rubbish against St Mirren and think, I was good. I was really good against Hibs and I was really good against St Mirren. And I remember in the players' lounge after the game, and Big Whitey saying to me, come on, put his arm around me. Well done, mate, you're going to be playing next week now. And I'm thinking, I don't think you're right, because Dan Burns is still to come back. And I just went, aye. It's always in your head, and it's there, the possibility. But anyway.
The other thing I was going to say, Billy McNeill took you away for a wee trip, just to allow you to have a break, a bit of fun, a bit of training, maybe a few jars. And going back to that word fun, you're talking about that, where you weren't under the microscope. Where did you go? Was it Portugal?
Villanura.
And did you, for the first time, hear Mac the Knife by Tommy Burns on that trip?
Yes, right next to me there. We were at a table in a restaurant. I was sitting here, he was sitting there, and he stood up in his seat and sang Mac the Knife. I was right next to him. It was absolutely brilliant.
No mic, just impromptu.
No mic. I didn't even know the song. I didn't even know the song.
It's a hell of a song. I mean, remembering the lyrics to that song is amazing. It's a brilliant. I love songs with stories in them.
Stood right next to me and sang it.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Aye. Saw another few people on that trip that I hadn't seen before. Aye. Saw people in a different light that trip. It was great.
People that come out when they're
people that come out when they've had a few drinks.
Got a common theme of that.
Yeah, there's a common theme coming through. I've seen.
But again, great fun trip, and everybody made you feel part of it. Celtic was like that. Celtic was like that because you had the boys' club that brought it with you. It was like that for the whole way through. It was a team within a team within a team.
What always interests me when we talk about Barfield is the Seamill trips as well, David. So going into the 1989 Scottish Cup final, you're in the team, you're playing well, you've got a chance of being in that final team squad on the bench, and you go to Seamill. Talk us through that, because there's this whole process that Jock Stein did it, Billy McNeill did it, David Hay did it, What's it like? Is it all about camaraderie and just relaxing?
Yeah, definitely. It's more so about that, because the training facilities there are the wee back bit of grass. So it's not as if you've got a pitch to train on. Without a pitch to train on, it was just playing five-a-sides on the wee back green at the back and over the water, into the water. So training was a secondary to your build up to the cup final, and obviously the week before that we went to Villamura as well, which was great crack. And again, training related, there wasn't too much of that going on. It was all about just getting that bit of team spirit. You've done your stuff. If you don't know what you're doing by the time the end of the season comes in, you're never going to. No amount of tactics or sessions will get you through come May, late May. So it was just all about building relationships and looking out for each other and just getting that togetherness and team spirit and having dinner together, eating together, going walks together, training together, going in the water together. And then I remember the night before the game, we'd get into the private dining room and just Big Billy starts his food fights. It's just a bit. It was like a big group of immature boys, and him being the most immature of them all. They starting his food fight, and I remember just in those days, I remember having a wee Ford Fiesta that kept really low in petrol because I probably couldn't afford filling the tank up half the time. And I remember getting a lift down on a Friday night. Getting in and having this dinner chat. At that point I knew I wasn't going to be playing, but realising if I'd got my shoes for my suit, you'd obviously take what you'd wear. But I'd had this grey suit, which is my mate still gave me stick about this because I've got that grey suit on and that.
So did you not get a club suit?
A club suit. Well, I don't know. I think you'll probably see Big Lexi and Andy with one.
Right.
But because I was late to the squad, I never got a club suit. I had my own suit. I had my grey suits for next, I think.
Is it grey or silver, David?
It was grey. I'm no good down the silver route. It was definitely grey. It was probably trendy back in its day. But I had no shoes. I had no shoes for it. So I had to phone my mum and dad to come down to Seamill in the dark roads on a Friday night with probably about £1.50 worth of petrol in the tank with no petrol stations out. So I remember coming out the food fight and my shoes been there. So mum and dad obviously delivered my food, my shoes down to see.
When did you get told the team? The day before?
No, I think it was a Friday. If I remember, it was dinner in the room. This is a team. This is how we're going to play it. Let's start a food fight. Right. I think that was a sequence. Aye, and I'll get my shoes at the same time. So I remember coming out the room, my shoes were there. So obviously my mum and dad, they were probably travelling up the road in fumes.
Last week we spoke to wee Joe, and it was interesting and quite refreshing actually that he said, the whole Mo Johnson saga, he was more disappointed that we'd lost Frank McAvenny. What did it do to the morale at the club? Because I remember as a fan, David, you're on a high. You've won the cup, you've stopped the treble. It was a disappointing season up to the cup win, and you've signed Mo Johnson, who at the time was on top form for Scotland, and it was exciting. And then you felt deflated as a fan. What was it like being a Celtic player at that time?
I remember it all. I remember when he signed for Rangers, it was all close season anyway, because I remember doing in Blackpool at the time and reading it. So, probably a bit deflating at the time. Celtic aren't about individual players, it's never been about players, so they would just muck in and go on with it and deal with the situation as the case may be. So from a football point of view, I don't think it really made much difference overall, probably outside looking in, and probably initially for a player going, oh, that'd be good, but we'll deal with it anyway. And I was at Falkirk with Morris as well, and he was a cracking professional. He was another one that was a good leader and a good role model for people, probably a bit like Chick on the same side as Chick. People didn't realise how much a professional Morris was, with his work rate and his attitude and his just enjoyment for football.
Mm-hmm. We brought in Jackie Jakanowski that pre-season, I remember, and having looked back at his career, he was a sensational player when he played in Poland. Inter Milan tried to sign him. He was one of the top stars going into the '86 World Cup. When an overseas player comes to Celtic at that stage, it was quite unusual, David. What did they bring to the table? Did they bring different regimes, different diet, a different outlook to the game? Did you learn anything from the imports?
From Jackie specifically, probably not. His partner in crime, Big Ducek.
Yes.
He was a cracking big guy. He was a big lefty, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was a big lefty. So, but Jackie was a big striker. So how he played the game was completely different from the way I played the game. But I do remember going to Germany pre-season with him and playing as a 2 up front. For whatever reason, Big Billy decided that was going to be my position in that specific game. I remember working my backside off because I remember running by him all the time trying to close people down. He wasn't a worker. But he had an eye for goal. He poached a goal or two. But his work rate wasn't the best. I liked Big Darius Dubček. He was a cracking big guy.
Darius was hard as nails as well, wasn't he? He was a good
big lefty.
Worker.
You know, for me, he was probably the one that I'd learned from. You know, just in the whole scheme of things at Celtic Park.
There's one story I want to ask you about. Celtic played Orlando Lions. It was a friendly game. Yeah. It was organised by Alan Ruff, who was in goals for Hamilton the day you made your debut for Celtic. And it was an interesting one in that it wasn't a behind closed doors game, but it was on a Tuesday afternoon or something. Yeah. And anybody who was at the game or has seen pictures of this game, guys, right? Celtic run out wearing the centenary jerseys. But in the second half, there's a picture of your old teammate Alex Matthey wearing a Celtic jersey for 1982 because the Celtic team completely changed their kit at half time. Can you talk us through the reasons behind that?
No, I couldn't. You could probably tell me the reason behind that.
Down to Neely, isn't it?
It was down to Neely Mockin, but I genuinely, Paul, can't remember the reason behind that, but I do remember that story.
You played in the game. Andy Murdoch, I think, came maybe on at half time. Some of your other guys that you played with, in fact, Ryan Christie's dad, I think, might have played
Charlie
in that game as well. And what happened was Celtic at that time, it just shows you, it seems like a long time ago, Tommy, but we're only 87, 88, maybe 89. They were only given 2 sets of kit by Umbro for the entirety of the deal, right? And Neely wasn't prepared to allow the guys to change the kit.
Jerseys.
At the end of the game.
After the game, right.
So he got the players to change. So he's in an old hamper, right? So they're all wearing different jerseys. You imagine that now, watching Celtic, they all come out in a mismatch of different hoops. But the Alex Matthey ones, they're from 1982-83, and he's wearing this jersey. And it allowed the players to swap jerseys at the end of the game. A wee Neely Mockin tale for you. David, you're into the coaching, and one of your fellow coaches has got a coaching school over in Ghana. Talk to us about that and your experiences with that.
Yeah, well, coaching just now at Partick Thistle under 16s. Previously, it's at Mirren Academy where I met my good friend Sam Mawena, who is Ghanaian and has his own academy called New Life over in Accra, which is the capital of Ghana. He's been busting my head to go for years, and November 22 was the first time I took him up on that offer. Not really knowing what to expect. Don't get me wrong, it was a bit of a culture shock being over there, but it's an absolutely beautiful country full of cracking people who are just absolutely football daft. The talent over there in football is unbelievable. As you can imagine, they're quick, they're strong, their physicality is just second to none. They have brilliant ball control because they train on the old red ash, they train on a mixture of old red ash and Troon Beach, they train on concrete with boulders in the road, and they train on an AstroTurf pitch which looks as if me and you put it down, Tom, you grab that end, I'll grab this end, you pull and I'll pull, bumps over it, but they don't care. They don't care. They just want to play football. Great bunch of boys. This last year he brought in for the first time younger boys from age 9 into the academy. The academy, they wash their own kit, they cook their own food, they have their own sleeping quarters. The older ones look after the younger ones. You come in after a day of training, and the first time they come up, can I clean your boots, can I clean your socks, can I clean your kit? They just just love being part of the academy. And even the younger ones that come in at 9 were just straight in it as if they'd been there with their lives. It's better. They've got a better life at that academy than they've out with. And their parents, their mothers, their fathers, their aunties, their brothers are quite happy that these boys go and try and be a professional footballer. They don't just want to be professional footballers. Some of them need to be professional footballers. They have in this need to be a good footballer. And Sam works his backside off to make sure they are. He plays them in the Accra second division, which is an adult league. It's just an adult league. But the oldest player in his team is maybe 21, but there's only 22, 21 year olds, and maybe only 2 or 3 of them. The rest are kind of under, the rest are 16, 17, and even 14 year olds. He's flinging them in, old reserve style, fling them in, toughen them up. So that's what he does, and the boys absolutely love it. It's great, and they just love being coached. There's great players over there, but no great coaches over there.
Right.
You take half the pitch up, you see the other half pitch doing their coaching for a bit. I mean, you trained at 6 in the morning, 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, because any time after that,
too hot.
Any time after that is too hot. So you see their coaches training for about 45 minutes. They do a warm up. They're warming up. They're jumping over hurdles. They're running about before they even get a ball out.
Right.
So the coaching style over there needs finely tuned, but there is no doubt there's talent over there, and it's just brilliant. It's a brilliant experience. Something everybody should go and do.
Humbling.
Yeah.
Well, very humbling. We take boots over, we take kits over. I mean, Sam, know enough people in this day and age to take kit off Partick Thistle, Hamilton Ackies, give us kits at Mirren, give us kit just to go. We can kit 10 a penny, but the boys need fed. Yeah. They need fed and watered. They need to get a minibus for the academy to training every day. They get schooled, sometimes at the academy or sometimes out with. And again, that minibus here and there, it all costs some money. But the most important thing is they just don't need fed and watered, because the football will look after itself, because they just love it. They love it. But great experience, and just enjoyment for a couple of weeks for me. Aye. Brilliant.
Sounds brilliant.
I'll go back. Aye. Probably the plan is to go back in November again, and then if Sam will have me, it just could be my thing. Just go back and enjoy myself for a couple of weeks in November, because it's really fulfilling. You do feel,
can imagine. Yeah.
You do, and at the same time you're doing something you love, and it's easy enough to do. Do you know? It's not as if it's a chore. It's not a chore. Coaching football over here's a breeze for me, so you can imagine it over there. It's something you love doing. It's the boys lap it up.
Like you say, that infectious joy.
They can't get enough of you. They can't get enough of you. Yeah. They just love it. So it's great times.
The reason why you fell in love with football, Lassie, it was not to do with politics, finance. It was because you loved kicking a ball with your mates. So you're going to go back to Ghana. Are you going to come back and play for the Celtic select team again? Because obviously we got beat the last time, Tommy, even though you scored a fine header.
I need to get a call up for this game next time.
Yeah, a bit of muscle.
If I'm invited, Paul John, I'll be there.
Brilliant, that's great. Now, what have we learned from today, Acsom? That Tommy Sheridan started the Hampden riot by jumping over David Elliott and invading the pitch.
David Provin's fault. All I wanted to do was give my scarf to David Provin. So it's Davy's fault. No, listen, people say to me, we were on the pitch, you started the riot and it's terrible because now we're not able to get a drink. I don't drink anyway.
I'm the same.
Well, look, listen, David, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Brilliant, sir.
Thanks for joining us on This Is Acsom. It's been a real pleasure talking to David Elliott. Join us again next Friday night for This Is Acsom.